Hey, everybody. I've already seen so many of our friends in the chat, and I'm so glad you guys showed up because we have a really extra special guest today. This is Wholesaling 101. My name is Corianne. I am an agent and a wholesaler, and I'm here with my all-time favorite, Benson. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. I didn't know it was your all-time favorite, though. That's news to me.
Oh, but you are. I
You
should
just
tell
made my
people this.
day. You say that to everybody.
No, I don't. I really don't. I remember, I mean, it's kind of surprising that we've been doing this together as long as we have, but I still remember the first one and how nervous I was because I thought you were awesome and I already knew you through all of the Privy stuff. And so I'm a fangirl, Benson.
Fangirl. That's awesome. Well, I tell you what, it does not feel like you were nervous at all. You're like a complete pro at this, a natural. So all you guys are lucky to be here with the pro, Corianne, and we've got a special guest who's going to be with us shortly, which I'm really excited to be part of as well.
Absolutely. Everybody, I have a few special announcements at the end today, so please stick around until the very end. I have some things I'm really excited to share with you, but first we want to make sure and focus on how important Privy is and how amazing Helena is. Like right now, as we're waiting on her, just jot down, just like have a few little notes ready for anything that you know or want to know in the dispo process, because she really is the queen when it comes to talking to buyers and creating relationships with them that last and getting deals sold. I mean, she has some impressive numbers on the board in terms of that. And we're going to show you using Privy, one of our all-time favorite softwares, to find buyers like that. And then hopefully, maybe today we might even get her on the phone if you guys are extra, extra nice to her. If you do not have Privy, it is going to be so much easier for you to utilize it and follow along as Helena's dropping tips. You can be clicking away. So if you don't have Privy, I highly suggest it. And we have a promo code. It's one of my favorite last names. It's Damji. And if you use that in the promo code, you're going to get 30% off the annual or 20% off the first month. So I highly suggest go ahead and make that happen right now. Benson, you're king of the cup. Do you happen to have any mugs to show us today? Because
You
I
know,
specifically brought coffee and thought of you, and it says good morning on this fabulous afternoon.
awesome. I do have a cup. It isn't a new one. This is
Oh,
coffee or death cup, which is maybe
absolutely.
a little controversial, but it is what it is.
Do you feel like that's true in your life? Like, do you not make it through a day without coffee? Because I am that person. I have to admit.
No, I'm actually getting way better. I've been weaning myself off of coffee this year because I was having trouble sleeping. And so I was drinking coffee like 5, 6 o'clock at night because I'd be, doing lives and trainings, and it was just like I wanted it just for the extra fuel.
Mhm.
Oh, Jesse said that they just signed up for Privy on Friday.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
huge congrats. You're
Awesome.
probably having a blast. Finding deals. Welcome
So
everybody.
yeah, I'm cutting back on the coffee. I'm just trying to, get a morning workout in. That's fueling me, getting me motivated, and then drinking a lot of water.
I've been working on the pushback, like not first thing in the morning, just like mid-morning pick me up. And so like it's one here, but I'm having my cup of coffee. It's going to get me through the afternoon. And today's going to be so good. Everybody, if you're just getting in, come on. It's Wholesaling 101. Take your seat. Today is going to be such a fun class. We have Helena Woo joining us today. She's going to be able to talk all things dispo, and we're going to be jumping into Florida using Privy. But I want to know who's here. I absolutely love seeing names return. I see Katie, Craig, Benson, I see you. Diana, Hugo, sound off. If you have never had your first wholesaling deal, I want to know who you are, where you're at in the chat. Drop me a one, please, if you've never done a deal. If you have done 3 or more. If you're out there, you're like, I'm wholesaler now, and you're owning it, drop me a 2, just so I can know who's in the building, what kind of questions we're going to be looking out for, and make sure that we take care of everybody. Hey, Kevin, it's good to see you. I watch out for y'all. I hope you know when the day that 1 turns into a 2, it's a party. It's absolutely a party.
Oh yeah. I'm curious for the ones here. What is it that's stopping you?
Hmm.
Throw some reasons out. What are
Yeah,
some of the most common things that are holding you back from closing that first deal?
that I'm frozen.
Okay. So
Mhm.
that's like some indecision there.
Absolutely. I hear this one actually the most, and we all are, honestly, like, you end up getting frozen somewhere along the line. So one of the first things that we always want to pinpoint is, where is that freezing happening? Is it before you
Mhm.
even sit down and you're pulling up Privy to look for your deals? Is it once you found something you think is a deal, hopping on the phone? Like, where in that process? Sometimes you've had a great conversation. Hopping on the phone is easy, but then getting the number in is the hard part. So yeah, identify where that freeze is for you, Facebook user, please.
Angelo,
MJ,
I gotta say something here. You are not an idiot. We've all have legitimate reasons why things are stopping us, but that is certainly not one of them. But if you feel like you don't know it all, that sometimes can be overwhelming. Like, oh, I feel like I have to know everything before I take action, or I don't know this one thing, so everything's gonna be on hold until I know that one more thing, and that can be paralyzing for sure. I'm there constantly in different aspects of business. There's never not going to be a time in your business career, whether it's wholesaling or something else you decide to do, where you're learning something new. So just give yourself some grace and realize that you're not any different than anybody else, and you're going to always be learning new things.
in fact, just the fact that that word has popped into your brain, I might take a look at how often that word is popping up for you and read and change it. Even if every time your brain is like, idiot, you can't figure that out. If you can just go, actually, I'm incredibly intelligent and a great wholesaler. Just it might even feel like you're lying to yourself the first couple times, but you're reprogramming that initial response to be kinder to yourself, and it is going to get you so much further. So that just happens to be one of my many soapboxes, is what words are we using towards ourselves, because I have used,
Mhm.
sometimes still do, some really nasty things towards myself that isn't true. And so to anybody that has that kind of initial gut check, I'm glad Benson called you out.
Yeah, and that
um,
was, like I said, that's for me too, right? Because we all have limiting beliefs in one way or another, and so I'm always being challenged with that and know the things that I'm trying to do. But if you're not constantly like learning new things, then you're not going to be growing too. So force yourself to go into those uncomfortable situations where you're learning new things, by maybe you're reading books, or you're learning new skill sets in your business, or maybe you're going to totally master wholesale, but maybe you didn't really work with uh you know landlord buyers. Maybe you're really good like Helena at disposition, but you're still working on acquisition, or somebody mentioned comping. That's something that constantly changes, right? Because the markets change. What a comp is today won't be the same thing as a comp is a year from now. The comping criteria will change. Something that Jamil mentioned a couple of days ago in one of our trainings we did, where the comping criteria, what does he call it?
the
Um,
appraisal room.
the appraisal rules. Yeah. So his appraisal rules are constantly changing and adjusting, right. Especially within the astro flipping community.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I believe we have our guest here. And everybody who contributed to where your hangups are, thank you. I'm going to revisit these chats. I'm going to look at these so that we can make sure that we're bringing those kinds of topics here, because this is Wholesaling 101, and it is our goal to get you that first deal. We have it on a hump day so we can get you over the hump in your business, and giving us some of that feedback as to where you're feeling that hangup is huge. Thank you so, so much. In the meantime, I believe Helena is here. This is a holler to the back. If you don't mind pushing her to the front. Oh, guys, drum roll. Helena Woo is here. And if you didn't see my stories on IG, I am a huge fan. She has sold some of my deals. We have worked together. And when I have a big dispo question, she is the person I'm going to turn to. She is incredible. Hi, Helena. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here hanging out with both of you guys.
Thank
So
you
you're
for doing
actually in China right now?
It's frozen on my side. Is that frozen on my side?
It is.
I
Your
think
camera's not moving, but we
Oh,
heard
no.
you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Guys, give us just a few seconds. It's going to be worth it. And she is tuning in all the way from China at 4 a.m. So we'll give her a little bit of love. If you can drop some emojis that might show me how you're feeling about the amazing Helena Woo being here, I'd really appreciate it. Hey, Cameroon. Good to see you. Helena, can you hear us? All right, we'll try again when she's able to pop back. But we'll give her the patience since she absolutely is going to be bringing the gems. If anybody is in the comments here with us today and has worked with Helena, and there's a long, long, long list, feel free to give us a shout out and let us know. She really is incredible. In the meantime, Benson, what do you say about us showing off a little bit of Privy where we're going to be jumping?
For sure. Let's get in there. While I'm doing that, Hugo had a question that I think is relevant for a lot of people. If you send 10 offers, do you have to put earnest money deposit on all of them if they're on market deals?
Yes. So what you have to kind of be aware of in that is, when are you setting your due date on that EMD? If I was in a pinch where I had 10 offers where I'm going under contract on them all, and let's say I didn't have 10,000 bucks to put EMD on each one, I would ask on specific ones, especially the ones that I have the best relationship with, if I can set that EMD date for the end of inspection. Why would I do that? Because then I can have my buyer cover my EMD as well as the EMD I'm requesting from them to cover myself. So I'm ending up not having to actually pull that cash out of my account. But you have to take that into consideration in your offer as to what's going to make it strongest. Because if a agent receives an offer where that EMD is due on day 5 and that conversation hasn't really happened in why or asked yet, they might see that as kind of a red flag, because most of the times in traditional deals, you're going to get EMD set in normally in the first 24, 48 hours. So that's something to consider, but there's so many ways of collaborating with people to make that happen. There is a incredible Gator community that lends specifically on EMD, and that's all through Pace Morby. So there's an awesome connection to maybe go hunt down if you don't have that cash in your pocket. Any other ideas I missed, Benson?
No, I think you nailed it, but you do want to be conscious of it, because if you're submitting a bunch of offers, actually, I will say too, you only have to submit EMD on offers that are accepted. Now, there's the risk if you submit 10 offers, they're all going to be accepted, and if you are then kind of racing to try to find EMD, you want to have those Gator relationships in place, or those JV relationships in place prior to it. But in general, if you submit 10 offers, no, you don't need EMD for all of them. You only need EMD for the offers that are accepted, and you'll have a time frame of 48 to 72 hours to try to get that EMD to the title company. So just think about those timelines, and then think about, the offers that you're submitting. Is there a chance they're all going to be accepted? Is there a chance that maybe just a couple are? but you don't know until that process starts. So,
And
you kind of have to
somebody
manage
in our
that piece.
Wholesale 101 family is a Gator lender. Holler, Rebecca. She's in the chat. And that's why we show up to Wholesaling 101, is because we're here to collaborate, find people that are like-minded in making incredibly wonderful wholesale deals happen, and doing it with grace and care. I'm looking for a specific word, but it's not dropping, so it'll come back to me.
Chris had a
Ethics.
good comment. Oh, ethics. Yes. Don't forget about that.
Yeah,
Chris said,
yeah.
if you make 10 offers and all of them are accepted, then there's a chance you are offering too high. So you might have to rework your offers and think about where you're coming in there, because typically if you're submitting offers on properties, you're trying to get a little bit of a discount. And so if 10 got accepted, then maybe you didn't go low enough.
That's really helpful. Thank you. That's a good point to bring up, just because we're kind of in the business of finding and hunting down equity, and that's not just easy on the table anywhere we go. But with Privy, it can be much easier, and we're about to jump in and show you why. If you don't have
Yeah.
Privy, highly suggest it, and we've got a promo code for you. It's going to get dropped in the chat right now. So what are we looking at, Benson?
So, there's a lot of markets to choose from. And, a lot of the times we'll just choose the market that we live in to go look for deals. And sometimes that can work. But you may not have all the ingredients that you need in that market to be able to assemble a deal. And one of the more important things in that is high investor activity. You want to be in an area where there's demand for wholesale deals. If you're able to submit an offer, get a property under contract, are there buyers on the back end that want those properties? Right. The other thing that I like to do is I like to operate in a market that has direct to MLS data. Now, Privy is the only platform that has direct to MLS data on scale anyway. So you're not going to be able to go and find it from another platform. But if you do decide to operate in an area that doesn't have direct to MLS, it's these areas where you see gray and you don't see blue. It's just going to be a little bit less information, and it's not going to be updated as often as if you chose a blue area. So this is why I like markets like Kansas City, St. Louis, Chicago, Indianapolis, Philadelphia, Tampa. Those are all markets that have high investor activity and have direct to MLS.
And I'm glad you mentioned Tampa, because we have Helena back. Can you hear us?
Yay.
Yeah, sorry, there are some internet issues happening.
No worries. We're so glad you're here, and more than happy to wait for your expertise. How have you been doing?
Good. I'm actually right now still in China traveling, and that's why probably internet is not the best. But yeah, everything is great. First time seeing my family after 5 years. So that was exciting. Yeah, the last time is before COVID, and just all those craziness, and haven't got a chance to come back. So yeah, I'm gonna spend the Chinese New Year here and fly back by the end of February.
That's amazing. And it's super early there, right? I think I got it right. You said it was 4?
Yeah, I'm 13 hours ahead. So right now is 4:20 a.m. But
Wow.
I'm working, like I'm staying up all night working just as usual. So yeah, I'm pretty much used to a new working schedule.
Well, thank you for being here with us. That's amazing.
Yeah, of course.
So we're just showing off a little bit of the entry into Privy, but then guys, we're going to jump straight into Tampa and start to show off where we find buyers and get all of Helena's expertise on it. Right now, what we're looking at is sold deals, right?
We are, yeah. So the way you can predict what's going to happen in the future is by looking at the past. And so the more recent the past, the more telling it will be of what's going to come soon. So we look at investment activity. Right here, these are all the properties that were fixed and flipped in the last 12 months. And then you can see here that there are areas within Florida, Tampa being the hottest of them all, where a lot of this activity is located. So right here, kind of in the heart of Tampa, and then also on the tip of St. Petersburg are the two hottest markets that you're going to find likely in all of Florida. That's a really good market. Now, Helena, you live in Tampa, don't you, when you're not traveling?
Yeah, I was based in St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg. Okay. So you're just
Yes, it's right.
outside of that.
Yeah.
And so this is the investment activity. Now that you've actually got momentum and you've got buyers, are you still adding buyers to your buyers list? Is that something you're constantly doing?
Yeah, we adding buyers every single day, especially if we have deals, new deals to send out. That's always a good way to open a conversation with a new buyer.
It is.
Were you always living in Tampa, or did you choose the market Tampa and then move there?
Yeah, I was in New York the whole time, and then I picked Florida as my market. And then I want to move out of New York for tax reason and don't know where I should move to since my market is in Florida and there's no income tax. So figure just check it out.
That's
Smart
awesome.
move.
How long have you been there now? Like a year, right?
Florida, yeah, almost a year. I moved there, I think March last year, so almost a year.
That's something that a lot of people, especially newbies, and we get a ton of our friends newbies in Wholesaling 101, it's kind of a struggle as to whether they choose to go virtual or whether they go with the place that they live. How has that changed for you moving to your market when you were doing virtual? Has anything changed? Or are you still behind your desk?
Not really, like nothing has changed. Like before I moved, what I was envisioning is I can check out properties, I can hang out with buyers to build in-person relationships, but I turned out to be staying at home more than I would like to. So it's pretty much the same as before when I was in New York. Everything is virtual. Yeah, so nothing has changed, and I think if you want to stay local or if you want to pick a virtual market, I think investor activity is definitely an important factor. And I would never pick my backyard New York because it's so difficult to wholesale there, like all the laws, regulations, stuff like that. So I think market itself is one consideration. Another one is your acquisition approach or disposition approach. Because ours, we're doing agent outreach, we're reaching out to wholesaler, we're not knocking on the door, we're driving for dollar. So I don't see the point of staying in a backyard. But if you want to, direct to seller and drive for dollar, stuff like that, then yeah, I think definitely you need to pick somewhere close to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're still in that place of looking for what market to choose, the process that we just showed you in like 2 minutes on Privy is the perfect thing to use. Is there MLS access? Is there activity? How much activity? And look for somewhere that's got a lot going on. Because I know a lot of people, and I've heard this specifically about the Tampa market, say there's a lot of players there. Because there's a lot of players, I'm going to go somewhere where there isn't anybody. And I think one of the things that it's almost a hump to have to get over, that once you do, you succeed, is you've got to work with other people. You want to find other people there. And yeah, I can see why Tampa can be so strong because of that. But use Privy, guys, to choose one market and then choose your access point. Are we talking about AC or are we talking about dispo? Helena, were you always dispo in your world, or did you kind of have to play with which one you preferred?
Just doing, agent outreach, calling agents, making offers on MLS listing, agent off market outreach, cold call agent, all of that. And now, I'm doing 100% disposition, but I'm also, coaching, training my sales team. Like I jump on the role play with them. If they don't know how to submit an offer when there is a big price gap, or if they don't know how to handle some rebuttal from the agent, I'm still, jump on the meeting with them to coach them. So yeah, I do basically everything: acquisition, micro flipping, disposition.
That's awesome.
And the micro flipping is a JV approach, right?
Yeah. So we do a lot of GV deals, and that's the majority of our volume. But we're transitioning into doing more direct deals since we have a super solid sales team right now. And also another consideration is the fee margin. Usually if you GV is more volume but smaller fee per deal. And for direct deals, it's bigger assignment fee per deal, although less margin, because less transaction, because you only have so many salespeople. But with wholesaler, you can have unlimited people you work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that kind of abundance mentality, and that, you know, you're leveraging all the activity here. Tampa's a hot market, but you found a way to position yourself as, you know, a disposition hub so you can JV, but now really ramping up the acquisition side of the business too, because there's an opportunity there. And now you've got this great sales team who can focus on agent outreach and even doing some direct. Did you say that you're going to be doing direct to seller as well?
Yeah, at some point in the future, I want to implement some direct to seller, but I want to do it more strategically. So not like, cold call seller or drive for dollar, not like that. I want to leverage some key relationships who can bring me leads like attorney referral, um,
Mm,
closing title company referral, stuff like that.
yeah.
And yeah, I want to touch on abundance mindset as well. So people may think, Tampa is so hot, so they don't want to get into the competition, yada yada. But there are a lot of benefits of having many activities in the market, which is first of all, you have Privy, you can see all the data which help you with your market research. So you know how to make offer, how to underwrite. If you pick a market where there is no activities, then you don't even know how much you can offer. Secondarily, a lot of activities means a lot of buyer. So it's a lot easier to dispo in Florida compared to, I don't know, like the middle of nowhere where you cannot even find a comp. And the last
Mhm.
one is for micro flip, of course, you work with different people and more activities means more people in there and you have more relationships to expand into. And in terms of the competition, what I always believe is there is enough for everybody. So yeah, maybe we'll lose a deal to a competitor, quote unquote competitor, but there is enough for everybody. They maybe get this one, we'll get the next one. Everybody will win in the end.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So smart. Thank you for sharing. And look, we are right in on a potential buyer like that on Privy. You just did like one click, Benson, and we're in a whole new world. Will you tell us where we're at?
Yeah, yeah. So I just clicked into one of the houses that closed most recently. I think just closed yesterday. And so this just went on Third Avenue, and it opens up the comparative market analysis, which actually analyzes the property for you. It pulls comps, it shows you the property information. But down here, because this property is one that just closed, this is what Helena was talking to about doing your market research and knowing what offers you need to submit to be competitive with what's happening in your market. And a lot of times we just, submit offers based off of some kind of universal formula. But in reality, if you want to compete at a local level, you need to know what your competition's doing. And so this buyer right here offered at 70% of the ARV. They got it for 235. They fixed it up, sold it at 337. And you can see over here, what kind of renovation they did to the house. So this buyer here would be somebody that I would be interested in talking to. Helena, I'm curious about your perspective on this. This buyer is Paul Lewis Fontaine LLC. Possibly you know them, but they're willing to go up to 70% of the ARV in the right situation.
Yeah. And this buyer is very interesting to me for several reasons. So the first one is you can tell from the most recent, flipped pictures, it's very well done, the whole project. It's not like a cheap work cookie cutter. They care about the staging, which means they are good people, like really putting in the work. They care about their project. And with the right deal, they are willing to pay for more because for the amount of work they put into it, they can hit higher ARV compared to just do, a cookie cutter job. And the second reason is the property is only 912 square feet, which is relatively small compared to the standard, which is typically 1,200 or at least 1,000. And most buyers, they are not super open to smaller properties because the buyer pool, the end user retail buyer pool is smaller compared to a regular 3-bed, 2-bath.
I think we lost her.
1,200 square feet, but I want to reach out to him for sure. And I can also tell that this buyer picked up the property previously off market because it's public record. It was not listed on MLS. And I also want to see the construction material for this one, Bessie, if you can hop over there. Yeah, okay, it's concrete. Concrete is good because most people in Florida, they prefer concrete block houses. But if this one is a wood frame, then that's even a plus because, I just found a buyer who is willing to take on wood frame house. And for me, typically, if I want to find buyer information, I like to go to public records because it just tells me more information there. And I can also see, how much the price reduction it had along the way. And based off of the days on market information here, it kind of tell me, okay, of course I need to collect more data point, but it can tell me for how many days on market, what's the average psychology price gap that is acceptable to the seller. So that's not on the dispose side, but more on the acquisition side for me to understand, okay, if I see a property on market for 50 days and I'm coming in 40K lower, I won't feel like, oh, I am so much lower than the listing price because the data shows me that that's what market is accepting right now.
Yeah, that price has already been rejected. So you know that we're talking about a different price right from the get-go.
Yeah, and also I just noticed the holding time is 130 something days. The days on market is 32 days. The construction is only like 99 days, which is 3 months. So basically, this buyer should be very experienced in terms of finishing such a well done project so quickly, and it should be a very pleasant experience for them because it got sold almost immediately. So when I call them and I compliment them and talk about this experience, they should be very pleasant to share their experience. Compared to if you see it's on market for 3-4 months and had several price drop, probably they're not so happy to talk about this one.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I consider that their mood about the deal, like, once it closes and it shows up here in Privy, we know that, okay, that's handled. They got the check in the bank, but it is probably like, oh my gosh, I finally got rid of that deal. I don't know if I'm ready to jump into another one just yet. That was a bad experience. So they might be sitting on the sidelines for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I had buyers who were burned from the past experience and they are on hold. But for those, you just need to show empathy and then say, no worries, I totally understand. Happy to check in with you sometime down the road. Just don't give up on them yet because they maybe come back. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
How many buyers do you aim to add daily? I saw that question come across in the comments.
Yeah, so there are stages. If you just get started building your buyer list, then you do adding buyer this action item all day, 8 hours, 10 hours per day. You add as many as you can. Like if you are in the stage of building up your buyer pipeline, ideally 20 buyers per day. That can bring you close to 600 buyers in 1 month. And after 2 months, you have 1,000, 1,200 buyers. That should be, a solid foundation for you to start selling deals. But if you are in the stage of having some buyer already and you are selling deals and basically build buyers more organically, like where I am right now, I would say on average 3 to 5 solid buyers per day is a pretty good number because some days if I'm too busy with selling deals, maybe I add 0 buyer because I'm on the phone follow up with existing buyers. But sometimes if I have extra time, I'll probably add 10 buyers for the week and to make it up.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. I'm sorry guys, I'm a little shaken up because Helena just read this like tea leaves. Like she pulled that thing up and she was able to understand almost emotionally where a buyer might be coming from before she even found their number. And I think that's incredible. Because I come and I ask, how was the project? But I don't really look at those numbers to decide whether or not it was probably good or probably bad before I even approach. And that's going to change my game, y'all, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Let's pop into another one.
Cool. Let's look at one that looks interesting here. Here's this one, 425, 3751 Manatee Drive, Southeast. Ranch or a rambler, depending upon where you're from. You can see that we've got the photos here. I learned recently, I think this is something that Jamil mentioned, that some of the websites online are changing their rules around photos, and that
Zillow.
are going to be pulling photos after a property is closed. So that's one of the things, you guys, because Privy is a closed system, it isn't publicly facing. We're able to have those photos inside of Privy, and then Helena alluded to this earlier. If you find a property and it was purchased from the MLS, we'll have those before pictures. If it isn't purchased from the MLS, we'll see the street view. And this is another one that was purchased directly from the seller, but at a way deeper discount than the last one. This one's at 44% of the after repair value, but they did sell it on the MLS, but similar timelines. Well, no, the days of market was much longer.
Yeah. And we can also see in the, I think it's called pricing history. Yes. No, with a public
property
record.
history.
Yeah, you can see if there's any price reduction along the way. So you can see what's listed in June last year, active, and at 460 in the beginning, 475, 474, and all the way dropped to 439. So that investor probably is not so happy about it.
Oh yeah, they way overestimated the market because they got under contract when it was listed at 439, but it was under contract. It actually closed at 425. So that's a $50,000 price drop.
Right, and you can also see the seller for the last transaction, which is the investor in this deal, is whatever trust. So typically and that is a trust, it's very hard to skip the owner. So if I want to skip, I probably just pass on this one because it's hard to find the owner information.
That's a good point.
Great knowledge, especially for our newbies out there hunting down some buyers. When you see something that is in trust, go ahead and pass. It's not impossible, but it's very hard. And we don't want to see you trip up on one when you can go get 5 in the same amount of time. So really hot tip there. And I saw a question come through that said, when you see those high days on market, is that a good indicator of a possible deal? Will you speak to that both on the buy side and the acquisition side?
Acquisition, you mean when I make an offer for another listing or for this one?
So if you're approaching a ugly property that has a lot of days on market, is that a good indicator of a deal?
So that also depends on the situation. Usually 2 scenarios. One is they're on the market for a long time and they are, finally ready to sell. Another one is they are on market for a long time and there is no motivation at all. And how do I know that? There are some signs. If you see there is price reduction along the way, then it's telling you, okay, seller is gradually coming to the sense and probably now they're getting motivated and realistic, so you can make a more aggressive offer. But if you see there's no price reduction after 100 days on market, then pretty much seller has no motivation at all. And if there's no interior picture, which either they have tenants living in there, it's hard to show where they don't want to show the interior, where sellers living there themselves. But basically they're either collecting money or they're using the property. So there's no strong motivation. And another sign is if it's on market for a long time and if you call listing agent, the agent doesn't pick up after you call them 2-3 times, then that's also indicating there is no strong motivation from the seller because the agent doesn't even care about it as much.
Interesting.
That's so great.
But I also want to quickly point out something here because we can see it's 2023. it had a transaction, the first leg of the transaction from seller whatever LLC to the land trust, but that seller acquired the property in 2013, and that's an entity as well. So that's telling me that is also an investor, but it's a rental investor. So I'll collect that one as well because I can sell some rental properties to that investor who can typically pay for more because he or she has a different exit strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Oh yeah, I think this might even be a hedge fund.
Yeah, SRP sounds like a hedge fund sub LLC.
Yeah.
It should be like a bigger one and have a lot of sub, LLCs under umbrella LLC.
Yeah. So there's so much to learn from the data, you guys. It isn't as simple as just looking at the numbers. You can see that, like Corianne said, like she's just kind of peeling back the onion here and really figuring out motivation, and that will determine the best strategy and the best approach that you can use when you're on the phone, when you're talking to these people. One thing that Jamil mentioned a couple of days ago is that because it was a trust or we couldn't reach the buyer, he's like, well, I like to call the agents on those. So this Wendy Smith was the listing agent on this property. What would you do if you were going to call this agent to see if their buyer was interested in additional deal flow?
So that is sold by, that actually know that agent. She's works with a lot of investor. So basically I just say, hey, I saw you help your investor property on 123 Main Street. Congratulations, that's such a beautiful, gorgeous project. Are you to take on? Because I have some good deals in the pipeline. Would love to be a resource and bring them to you, see if your people are interested. And they always say, yeah. It's like a lot easier conversation compared to you reach out to an agent for a listing or for a lead, because now you are bringing them you're providing them value for no return, and they're always happy about it.
How do you work in the compensation for the agent typically when you're bringing a property from somewhere else and this agent might not get to tap into like any of the buyer or listing commissions?
Yeah, they always ask, is there any commission or how am I getting paid? So, what I typically say is you can add your fee on top, like whatever amount you want to make, 10K on top. If you want to make 100K, add 100K on top, as long as you can sell it to your people. So I usually ask them to add on top, but some deals I know the margin is small, is tight. I'll say, you can shop it around to your people, and if they come back lower, we can go back to the negotiating table with the seller, see if we can figure something out and cut you in for a profit. But I start with adding your fee on top.
Got it. So there's always a way to compensate them. You just have to get creative sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times they are willing to bring a deal to their investor for nothing because they will get paid commission, a lot more commission, because the selling price is higher on the other side of the transaction. Because if they bring a deal to the investor, most likely that investor will hire them as a listing agent once the project is done.
Very good point. You guys, did you hear that? I think it's worth repeating, Corianne.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, are you making me repeat it?
I think, yeah, I mean, also from your perspective as an agent too, right? So like, this is, I think, a good place for you to chime in with your experience about, like, okay, well, they're thinking not necessarily about making money on the front end. They're going to make their money on the listing side of the project, where maybe they got it for, there's a smaller commission on this one. What'd they buy it for 187, and that's if it was a 3% commission, that's only maybe $5,000. But if they sell it for I don't know, 400,000, right, that's a much different commission, right? That's double.
I'm shooketh because in general, the amount of data that you get from Privy, I've always been astounded with. I'm the Privy girl. I love Privy. And every time we bring somebody on, how to work that data and how to approach the kinds of people that you can out of just one card is always so different that I keep adding things to my back pocket. And just recently, we started reaching out more to agents for being a buy connection. And I was astounded at how excited more and more agents were to potentially play that role. And it gives them opportunities to be able to have more closings and to be a part of this investment world, maybe without even having to dive too deep because we're already doing some of that vetting for that deal. So as long as you've got some buyers that can move quickly for me, then yeah, add on top. And I can only imagine that most agents that get to hear the word add on top get pretty excited. So
Yeah, you have the control of how much they can make.
exactly. If anybody doesn't have Privy, I even just kind of disappeared for a second because my mind was blown. I think you need it. And I want to make sure that you've got a promo code for it. It's the last name Damji. If you use that promo code, you will get 30% off the annual plan or 20% off your first month if you go that route. I highly suggest it because one property card, and we just had two different approaches as to how we might be able to get more people that we can work together with. And I'm so excited about that. I did see a few good questions pop through that I want to make sure that they get your attention, Helena. One was what verbiage used when you reach out to a potential buyer are you using to explain that you're going to assign it to them?
Yes, when it comes to that bridge, but you don't cross so many bridges ahead of the time before you even get there. Because on the first phone call, most of them are busy. They're in the meeting, they're in the closing, whatever. You probably have like 1 to 2 minutes to get your point across. Some buyers are chatty, so you can talk about all those details if they're interested. But most of them, they just want to know who you are, why are you calling, what value are you going to bring to them. So if you tell them I'm calling because I have opportunities for you, they will most likely just ask you to send over the deal. And if they are interested, that's when you can explain more about the details, how the transaction works. But in the first conversation, I don't think it's necessary to bring all those details. But it's important to gather buyer's buy box. So besides sending them the deal, you also want to ask what are they looking for. And so if it's not for this particular deal, you can always send them others in the future.
So
if you do get a hold of a buyer, sorry, Corianne, and they're like, well, what do you have? Send it to me. And you don't have something under contract right now that would fit for them. Like, how do you handle that part of the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, happy to send over to you, but I want to know what you are looking for first so I can send you the perfect opportunities as opposed to wasting your time. So I want to get their buy box first. That's the main goal of my conversation, which is to get what I want, which is their buy box. And after they explain to me, okay, got it. I don't have anything fit your buy box at this very moment yet, but I just make a note of what you're looking for. And when I come across the good ones, I'll make sure to send them your way. You are not saying you don't have any deals. You are just saying I don't have deals fitting your criteria, which further shows that, okay, you listen to them and you are doing the preliminary due diligence, providing the deal for them to make the most use of their time. So they would be more appreciative as opposed to thinking, okay, you're wasting my time because you have nothing.
Right. So even if you have nothing, there's a way of structuring that call to make them believe there's stuff in the pipeline. It's just none of it's suitable for them. So you don't want to waste their time sending them something they're not going to want anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but and they will be more
all the time. Like newbies all the time are like, I don't have deals. How can I go collect buyers? But that one shift in the way that you're communicating, I don't have anything that fits your buy box. Not, I don't have anything right now. That changes the way that they receive you taking their time.
Yeah, and they will be like a lot more looking forward to seeing your deals because in their mind, okay, you took note of my criteria, so you're gonna send things that I am interested in potentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's gold. That one thing can change a whole conversation. And I could see that being valuable for people here who were thinking they're maybe a little scared of getting on the phone because they don't have anything yet. And that mental block of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. But that That one thing that Helena just mentioned, you guys, is a gold nugget. Like, put that into your toolbox and use it, and feel confident talking to these buyers and say, I don't have anything that fits your buying criteria right now, but I'm working hard to find that for you.
Yeah, and also like I'm never scared of calling buyers because I don't know certain things, because I am treating each conversation as a learning experience. If I come across something that they said that I don't know, either it's market intelligence, like information about the market, about the area, or a new strategy or a new term, I feel like I earned something, like I got more takeaways from that phone call than what that buyer got takeaway from that phone call compared to me. So I'm always super excited when I, learn something new or come across things that I don't understand. And I think that's a really good opportunity, because when you don't understand something and you ask questions genuinely, people are always willing to help. And when they explain to you, when they help you, do you a favor, interestingly, they like you even more compared to you do them a favor. So I think that's the best way of building relationships with new buyers.
Incredible. What if they're skittish and don't want to give you a buy box, or they give you something super generic? Does that mean that you don't really share many deals with them, or
Oh,
you
that
send them?
happens all the time. Some buyers, they just say, send me whatever you have. I'll look at anything. For those kind of buyers, there are typically two situations. One is they are big buyers, like they really buy everything that makes sense. I have some buyers like that. They buy maybe 20 properties per month. They are doing a lot of deals. So that's a good sign. But for some buyers, they're just not like super active, where they may be wholesaling as well. So they want to see everything. You kind of just need to get a by which category they belong to, along them everything, or just send them everything. Because what happens is, as you send them more deals, they will tell you, no, I don't like this. And you can ask, okay, what about it you don't like? You never told me what you're looking for, so I'm just sending you everything as you instructed. And they will tell you, I don't want wood frame, or I don't want, one bathroom, I want 2 bathroom minimum. So you can refine your criteria for them along the way by sending them deals.
Mm-hmm. This is one of my own personal little soapboxes that I kind of bring up a lot, but it would be much better to have 5 to 10 buyers that you actually know versus 200 email addresses. And you're speaking to what that conversation is like. Do you ever add anybody to your list if you haven't spoken with them? Ooh. I think she's broken up a little bit right now, but she's coming back, I can tell.
You there, Helena?
Yeah, I'm here. It's much better to have, sorry, I lost you. To have what?
Is it, will you ever add anybody to your list if you haven't spoken to them? That's the simplest question.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't send, if I have not spoken with them, but if we had text conversation, then yes, I'll send them deals. What do you mean? I've never like had any type of conversation with them.
What if I just found an email off of a Facebook group?
Oh, I wouldn't, because first of all, there are a lot more regulations in terms of text or email, right? So, like were permanently suspended. So I wouldn't take that risk. And also, people receive 100 emails per day. They probably won't even look at it if they know that person, let alone from a stranger. So the hit rate is really small. Maybe you'll send to 200 buyers, only one open. So I'd rather take time, because a lot of slow is fast. So I'd rather take time, make phone call, build 20 buyers, and every single one of them look at my deal and give me feedback, as opposed to I send an email blast to 2,000 buyer and none of them even open it.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. That answers JC's question. I think I got one more for you that popped over here from Chris. And it says, the big question is, how do you screen flaky buyers or buyers that aren't serious?
Yeah, it's a constant conversation to have with them, but it happens all the time. A lot of buyers, they say they are ready, but they are not action taker. They are tire kicker. So you wouldn't really know until you start dealing with them on a particular deal. And just asking the right question. So if they make an offer, so here's the thing: if I send a deal to a buyer, I want to hear feedback from them. If someone never give you feedback, then also some buyers just say, okay, I'll take a look, I'll get back, but they never actually do that. Then okay, they're not really serious about taking actions, or at least they're not super active at this very moment. And when you are actually having the offer conversation with a buyer, they send you an offer, and when you can ask them, okay, so are you ready to put in the EMD and sign the contract immediately without any inspection period? And if they say yes, okay, then they are serious. But if they say, cannot do that.
We lost you right there at the end. If they say what?
Darn it. I
Guys.
was so connected to that conversation.
Me too.
I'm so-
To everybody here on Wholesaling 101, just so you know, Helena's joining us from China, and she is giving her time, and she's been fabulous. She's also our dispo queen. So thank you for your patience on some of the internet interwebs things, but she is pure just info and gems and so many of those things. I mean, even Benson, he's like, Corianne, do you have anything for that? And my brain is like calculating how I add this into my business. I was like, oh, sorry, I'm here. Because she had so many gems, and I'm so grateful for her in showing up. I know for a fact you can go connect with her, communicate with her, ask her more questions on her IG. And I'm going to triple check that I give you the correct one. So give me 1 second. Yep, it is Helena Woo Abundance. I'm going to drop that in here. Everybody stick around though. I've got a couple things I want to make sure and share with you before we wrap up. But there we go. Go follow the fabulous Helena to say thank you for her time today. And then we really hope you were able to take something from this and go implement it into your business so that this week you have an even stronger week. Guys, if you don't have Privy and all the data that we've been talking about and looking at, and that Helena basically read like tea leaves, please go get Privy so you can come back next week and you can ask us more questions and we can make sure you're rocking and rolling with it. Use the code DAMG. If you use that code, you'll get 30% off the annual plan or 20% off the first month. And before you guys leave, we've got a couple announcements. I want you to know that we are switching over to Zoom next week. There's been a little bit of back and forth in terms of whether we're streaming live straight to YouTube or whether we're on Zoom and then streaming live. And I beg of you, come join me on Zoom next week. And the reason for that is it's going to give us more opportunity to have more of a connection and more of a conversation with everybody that's showing up weekly. And we want that. So in the comments right now, we're going to drop that Zoom link so you can go register. That will allow you to you're registered for life and you can always pop into the Zooms, but we really hope we get to see you guys there. And then the other thing is, I am stocking up hugs. I'm stocking them. Benson's going to get a few, but the rest I'm stocking for you guys because Squat Up Summit is right around the corner. And I would love to see you guys there and introduce you to all my friends that are also going to be there. And I'm not quite sure. I meant to ask, I'm not sure whether we're still on the February lower payment, but it's only going to continue to increase because there's a limited amount of seats. And so I highly suggest you guys go get that ticket as soon as possible to have the cheapest one. And there's so many giveaways that are coming along with these tickets, that being a part of the community, engaging in that way, I can tell you that Jamil and Pace are giving back to you for doing that, for coming and being a part of our community. So I highly suggest it. Register for Squat Up Summit. Come join us for Wholesale 101 in Zoom. And I am so grateful for this community. You guys are what I look forward to every single week. I love seeing you get better and succeed and honestly break my record, because I took forever to learn wholesaling. It was really hard for me. And then I met Jamil, and then I learned it was mindset stuff. And then I finally started to do the work that I said I was doing. And then I became a wholesaler. And I want you guys to get there easy peasy using this beautiful software that Benson has with Privy. And oh, one last thing. If you guys are doing Squad Up Summit and you're going in and getting your ticket right now, which I highly suggest, make sure that you select Astro. We want to know that you're coming from our lovely Astro community. That's how you get access to some of those really fun perks. So please select Astro so we know you're part of the fam. I think I hit everything,
Awesome.
y'all. You guys are the best.
I
Benson,
think
to
you did
you.
too. It was. Yeah, we had a little bit of a slow start there, but Helena more than made up for that with just dropping tons of very valuable nuggets. I'm going to go back and watch that thing over again and take like very detailed notes about all the little things that she said. And those little things, you guys, can make a world of difference, especially for those of you that are still hesitating or holding back, right? Or analysis paralysis. Those little things will make you feel confident, and it's going to arm you with the stuff that you need to have very meaningful relationships and conversations with those buyers. So you can watch this on Jamil's YouTube channel. It's going to be there for you guys to go back and research, take notes, but don't sleep on that. It's going to be very valuable for you.
Absolutely. Take the action. Don't kick the tire. Take the action. Get on the phone with the buyer. We absolutely know you can do it. And then both Helena, Benson would love to hear about your experience, and you can find us on IG anytime. Thank you, family. We appreciate you guys for being here. We'll see you next week on Valentine's Day.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.